What's up, guys? It's Sleepy of Sleepy's Planet, and I'm back watching some more Australia content. Honestly, it's been really interesting learning about the hell that is down under, and I thought that I'd just watch some more of it. So I guess let's see what other crimes nature commits in the depths of hell.
This seal is such a menace that he routinely gets the cops called on him.
But he's
Introducing
so cute,
our
though.
protagonist, Neil the Seal, a 600 kilo absolute unit of a southern elephant seal from my home state of Tasmania in the land down under, who is known for, above all else, being an absolute fucking menace to polite society. But despite his crimes, we all still truly love him. But what are his crimes?
See, he's
well,
fucking cute.
see, he seems to just fucking hate traffic cones and road safety in general. Has regularly been caught trespassing, and then once he has been caught trespassing, belligerently screaming at locals because they won't give him his fucking fish, and has been known to just block roads by plopping his fat ass down directly in the middle of them. However,
Wait, that's funny
hands
as fuck,
down,
though.
the funniest shit he has ever done was just straight stopping this random lady from going to work. I shit you not. This motherfucker crawled out of the ocean, up the beach, crossed the road, absolutely fucking bodied this woman's poor letterbox, and then proceeded to plant himself directly in front of her fucking car. She was then unable to go to work because this half-ton beefcake was camping her driveway for so damn long. Local news had time to drive out to her house and cover the fucking story. Now, this is a lot of menace for us.
Okay. Dude, imagine fucking calling into work and being like, yo, I can't come in today. There's a fucking elephant seal blocking my car. Like, how? What do jobs say? Like, I can't imagine being a boss and like taking that call, dude. That's wild as fuck.
Single seal to cause. But the funniest part of this is, old mate isn't even fully grown. He's like 5 years old. If you think he can fuck things up now, wait until he's nearly 2 solid ass tons of blubber
Holy
and takes issue with
shit.
the wall of your house. I do not think that seal damage is covered on my fucking insurance plan, dude. People get shocked when I whip out like a flawless American accent because I've got like a really thick Australian
wait,
one,
that's
right?
the
But
guy.
I am not above. Just dude, I can't wait to go get like burgers later, man. I'm like so hyped for burgers, dude. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Dude, you been watching the NFL? Super Bowl was crazy this year, man. Eagles just like fucking dumpstered the Chiefs, bro. It was crazy.
Wait. My dudes, is this what I sound like? I feel like this is what people think I sound like. Yeah, I feel like this is totally what people think I sound like.
Australia lost a war to emus.
What?
But how? How the f*** did we lose an armed conflict with flightless birds? Well, it all started in 1932 when farmers in Western Australia wanted to grow wheat. There was just one major problem. That's emu territory, and emus really like wheat. And coming in at 6 foot tall and 40 kilos in weight, they can eat a lot of it. So when breeding season came around, the emus migrated through the farmland, and these poor farmers were overwhelmed by a tyrannid swarm of man-sized poultry, 20,000 emus strong. These
Holy
feathered tanks
shit.
then proceeded to completely
Dude.
steamroll through the fences into the fields and started laying waste to the wheat. The farmers attempted to fight back the initial wave with rifle fire, but their efforts were, putting it lightly, completely useless. This giant
Wait. Are these birds bulletproof? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
enormous
Dude.
L made the farmers pretty bloody angry, so they gathered together and went to the government to ask for help. Sir, 20,000 emus have hit the wheat fields. Fuck me, mate. And so the government declared the emus enemies of the state and sent in the army to commence the Great Emu War. The entire 7th Heavy Artillery Division was deployed to WA, armed with 2 LMGs, 10,000 rounds, and the sole objective to blast anything with feathers. A little bit excessive for an overgrown turkey if you ask me, and upon their first deployment, the army immediately ran into a major problem. Emus are fast.
How, like Roadrunner fast? Like beep beep, beep
Really
beep?
fast, clocking a top speed of 50 kilometers an hour, which meant that
Oh, I mean, that's, like, not that fast, right?
Immediately bolt out of range of their weapons. But they still took a crack at it, and then immediately stopped when both LMGs jammed after only dropping 12 emus. This embarrassment led the army to retreat and rethink their plan. So a few weeks later they returned, this time mounting the LMGs on trucks in an attempt to run the birds down. However, this also didn't work, because after figuring out that those trucks meant they were about to be turned into a KFC family bucket, the emus started leaving scout birds who would warn the flock of the approaching trucks, which gave them all enough time to book it before the army even got there.
Scout birds?
And
Wait,
whenever
okay.
they did catch
Okay, wait. Okay. So, like, if these like emus have a scout bird, how does that work? Like, the bird is watching while the rest of them are presumably, like, eating. And then if he sees people, does he go like, caw, caw, or whatever the fuck sound emus make to, like, alert the birds, and then they all run away? Like, how does that work, dude?
the emus, they found out they were kind of... Because emus are mostly feathers, and there's a lot of places you can hit on them without doing any damage, meaning it was taking around 10 bullets for every one bird. So after a month of blood, sweat, tears, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, the army managed to bring down 960. The population was 20,000. This was an issue as, unlike America, our defense budget is not a bottomless pit. So the army had wasted all that money to achieve absolutely fuck all.
Actually, so you know what's crazy is that he's showing that their military budget is 1 trillion, which to the average person sounds like a lot of money. But in terms of defense contracting and military money, $1 trillion is not that much.
So the government just kind of built a really long, really shit fence around the farms and called it a day. How the fuck did we lose this? I could have done a better job with a boomerang and a cricket bat. I have been assaulted by a cow. One of the cows is called Monty, and he's an adolescent, and I made the mistake of turning around for like 5 seconds, and in that 5 seconds, this 500-kilo cow runs up behind me while I'm sorting out his food and tries to f***ing mount me. He nearly f***ing squished me. If I hadn't been hitting legs, I would have been squashed by a horny f***ing cow. This bird has to rearrange its organs and skeleton just to lay an egg. This cute little guy is the kiwi bird,
awful.
a species of ratite native to New Zealand this time, and the absolute poster child for getting cucked by evolution. You see, this walking featherball is actually directly related to the emu, ostrich, and cassowary, being a member of the same family
Oh,
of
so it's a
flightless
dinosaur.
birds. However, there is a problem. You see, the rest of the kiwi's bloodline actually looked up a build guide before picking their stat spread, and as such made sure to trade the whole flying thing for something useful, with all of his cousins specking into speed, size, and some kind of offensive capability. So that leaves the question, what did the kiwi pick to make up for not flying? Absolutely f***ing nothing. Kiwis are tiny in comparison to their relatives, coming
They're
to be
kinda
only
cute,
4
though. I don't even
kilos
fuck
in
with
weight and
birds.
50 centimeters tall. This is because kiwis evolved largely on an island with no natural predators, so they downsized and traded out the knife feet and bloodlust for just being a little guy with a good attitude, which honestly worked pretty well for them until the British did British things, and now they have to deal with cats and dogs trying to eat them. And considering this build was not designed for PvP, they have been clapped so hard by invasive species that they are now unfortunately an endangered animal. But getting shafted by the British is
Poor little
just the
guys.
beginning of the generational violation of the kiwi, because these poor feathered fruits can't even reproduce without getting f***ed over. You see, the kiwi bird's cousins are famous for laying huge eggs. I'm talking hit your protein
That's
macros in one
massive.
meal-sized eggs. And you would think that is because they are large.
Yeah, that's massive, my
and
dudes.
you would be wrong. Because their vertically challenged cousins have to lay eggs the same size. A kiwi bird lays eggs 20% the size of their body. With the egg being so bloody large, it rearranges their internal organs and stretches their rib cage just to be able to hold the thing. For reference, that is like...
Okay, so there's tons of animals that have horrific births, and obviously, like, also people have horrific births. And I always feel so bad when people talk about it, because when I've given birth, it's been like not that bad. Not that bad. And people on here have been like, oh, but Sleepy, you've had an epidural. I mean, that's part of it. That is part of it. But the real reason that it wasn't that bad is because I have such a bad, fucked up pelvic floor disorder that we always make this joke like, pussy tight, pussy clean, pussy squeaky, except pussy medically tight. And because of the, how do I even explain this, my dude? Because of the state of my pelvic floor dysfunction, I gave birth in 2.5 pushes. Let me just like reiterate that. You know, when you watch movies and shit and they're like, all right, hold your husband's hand and push and go 1, 2, 3, push. You know, and it's usually like, I mean, in movies it's pretty quick because you can't have a fucking 30-minute sequence of some bitch giving birth. But I had a movie birth. Like my son came out in like 2 minutes. And that greatly contributed to the amount of pain that I was not in. So whenever I hear about people or animals or something having a really rough time with birth, I always feel super fucking bad because I did not have that experience. Not that I want that experience, but I'm just like, well, fuck, that's gotta suck for them, dude. Like, wouldn't know what that's like type shit.
Like a human giving birth to a 15-kilo child. That's not a bun in the oven anymore. That's a whole f***ing bakery.
No, that's massive because baby Sleepy's almost 2. Like, my son's almost 2 and he's not even 30 pounds yet. Yeah, no, that'd be bad.
There was a big-ass huntsman that used to live in my house.
Oh, not the
and I'm going to be
huntsmans.
honest, dude, I kind of just let him hang out.
He ain't f***ing small. I'll tell you that much. There's a huntsman. And they
I could
I
not.
was quite happy to let him just chill.
I
because,
could not, my dude.
I never saw a mosquito or a fly in that house. So he was paying rent in his own way, you know?
Ugh. Nah, miss me with that, fam.
Scientists just de-extincted a 12,000-year-old dog. Well, kinda. You see, a bioengineering company called Colossal has dedicated itself to doing what every single Jurassic Park film has told us is a bad idea.
I love Jurassic
Bringing
Park.
back extinct species. And recently, they made a breakthrough. They have managed to bring back the 12,000-year-old direwolf. You know those big-ass puppies from Game of Thrones that the Starks
shit,
had?
like in D&D.
Yeah, those were actually a real-ass animal, alive during the late Ice Age. And the best way I can describe them to you is, basically a wolf on steroids. Yeah, buddy! These things were bigger, faster, and stronger, estimated to have the highest bite force out of any canine. And in a move that I'm sure has no implications, they have managed to bring these bad boys back to life. These two little guys are now 6 months old and have been living on a private plot of land with 24/7
They're so
veterinary
cute,
care.
though.
However, they've only just been shown off to the public, with the company going so far as to get a photo op with George R.R. Martin holding one of these
Wait, the goat, for real?
adorable little killing machines, showing that man will literally interact with an extinct species before he finishes that last f***ing book. There is, however, one small problem. This isn't technically a direwolf. You see, by merit of them being extinct, short of specking into necromancy, you can't exactly bring them back. Which is where this guy comes in. You see, the grey wolf shares 99.5% of its genetic code with the dire wolf.
I mean, that's basically a dire wolf
using
then.
CRISPR gene editing, they basically toss the grey wolf back into the spore creator, then using the code found in dire wolf fossils as a build guide, juiced the out of it, boosting the size slider and putting some extra points into strength, as well as adjusting its head shape and teeth. All in all, they made a total of 20 edits to 14 genes, producing the closest thing we can get to a dire wolf short of time travel. Which is cool as
That is cool,
Again,
but
5
like,
years before a
why?
man-made horror beyond comprehension breaks out of that lab, and we are all playing Resident Evil.
Yeah, like, that's cute, but like, why, dude?
This bear was actually a soldier. But how? You see, it was 1942, and the 22nd Polish Artillery Company were passing through the mountains of Iran, on their way to the front lines to fight the Nazis. While passing through a town on their way, they were stopped by a young Iranian shepherd, looking to trade with them for rations and a Swiss Army knife. When the Poles asked what he had to offer in return, the young shepherd produced a burlap sack containing an orphaned Syrian brown bear cub. You see, this bear's mother was shot by hunters, which is how he ended up in a low-tech Pokeball being offered as a trade deal. The Polish looked at the bear and, clearly seeing the potential for insane dad lore, said, "Damn good deal." And in the most worthwhile trade deal in history, parted ways with their supplies in exchange for a f***ing Pokemon, adopting him into their ranks and naming him Wojtek. And the 22nd immediately set about raising this little man as a proper bear and soldier. Maggots! As a baby, they would feed him condensed milk out of an empty vodka bottle, as well as feeding him on the cartoon bear diet consisting of fruit, honey, and marmalade. They also appointed a soldier.
Wait. Is that what bears eat? I always assumed that bears ate other animals. Because why else would they be massive with like sharp teeth and claws? Are bears herbivores, my dudes? Is this like lore that I didn't know?
As his caretaker,
no shot,
who wasted
right?
no time in showing Wojtek how to fit in with the rest of the army, teaching Yogi's little cousin to wave, salute, and even march. While not
That's
undergoing
kind of really
rigorous
fucking
military
funny, though.
training, Wojtek would hang out with the soldiers. He drank coffee with them in the morning, trained with them in the day, and when they all got shit-faced in the evening, he would f***ing wrestle with them. Do you know how much a brown bear has to love you to wrestle you?
And not kill you?
On top of double rations, they would also feed Wojtek treats in the form of beer and cigarettes. They let the bear have smoko. Eventually, Army High Command heard about this and were having absolutely none of it. You see, pets were not allowed in the army, which meant Wojtek had to go. Or did he? Because the 22nd Artillery Company officially enlisted him.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
Wojtek was given a serial number and granted the rank of private, so when confronted about the very conspicuous bear in their ranks, they simply went, "That's not a bear, that's Private Wojtek." And Wojtek took his new role very seriously, as during the Battle of Monte Cassino in 1944, Wojtek began using his bulk to transport artillery shells and ammo to soldiers engaged in combat. They had a fucking resupply bear.
Shit.
For his bravery, he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and the 22nd changed their insignia to a bear carrying an artillery shell. This absolute unit smoked, drank, and dropped artillery on the Nazis. Based.
Okay, look, there's a lot more of this video to watch, but I don't want to put out another hour plus video. So I'll finish the rest of this in another maybe 1 or 2 parts. If you guys like the content, I guess subscribe and stick around, and I'll see you later. Peace.